sunshine when she's gone. It's all warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and this house just ain't no home anytime she goes away. Wonder this time where she's gone. Wonder if she's gonna stay. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. She's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away. I know, 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 I'll leave the young thing alone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Only darkness every day. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and she's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Outstanding.
Stairway to Sunshine.
Little way.
Hey, folks, how y'all doing?
Or ain't no stairway.
Ain't no stairway. Episode 36, and I was looking up today on YouTube to say when we started this craziness, and that was when I left the corporate world in spring of 2019, and I think that first show was about in May. I couldn't really find from YouTube what the exact date was, but it's about 3 years, 36 episodes. So
that's
like one a month or so. And one time I was doing like one impressive. A week, and COVID took a big bite out of that. But I was doing a few sort of funky shows at home. I did a whole show on guitar maintenance, and because actually that young kid that you're teaching right now, they broke a string, and we were all remote. And I'm there, I got to do an episode on how to change strings.
Right.
And I'm fastidious on
it's
my...
It's really difficult for people to do. Yeah. It's kind of a bad...
And if you can get a close-up of this, Andrew, I don't know if you can do that, man, but it's like I beat up my guitar pretty hard. So, but I still am a maintenance freak when it goes, and I'm a kind of crazy person on strings. So I did a whole episode on maintenance, which is something to think about and we'll talk about where Nick...
I'm going to have to look for
in
that
teaching,
and use it to my students.
The students really... You need to be able to... Because it costs a lot of money if you have to have someone else with, just like a car. It's just like a car. So again, episode 36, and I'm psyched to still be doing this at NCTV. And today I have an old friend, and this is this new world today of social media that you can become friends with somebody, even though if you don't really know them that well. But I feel like I know you.
Yeah, we have all kinds of
connections.
Our life has a spider web of people that we're all connected to.
And Nick's just such a positive, upbeat kind of sort of guy. So let's start off today with episode 36 with Nick Vecchio. Is that the correct?
That's me. Yep, Nick Vecchio.
Vecchio.
Yep,
okay.
That's me.
See, I'm half Italian. I can. So Nick graduated from Berklee College of Music, and we talked about that earlier today. Eventually graduated with a BA in music production and engineering. And it's a funny thing about that, they didn't have any of that in the 70s. It was four sort of majors, and that was it. They didn't even have vocal as a major. Now it's the number one major at Berklee for instruments is vocal. Nick played in several bands throughout the 80s and 90s, doing both cover bands and original music. And we have some great pictures, some really sort of period correct pictures of Nick and his bands. His band King V or King 5. Is that you?
It's
King V. Okay,
yeah.
I like that better. King V received some local airplay and had a few skirmishes, which I love that when you wrote this skirmishes with record labels, but never quite got it over the hump, which a lot of us did, especially during that time when you were doing that, Nick. Boston was what Seattle turned out to be in the 90s.
Boston was
and,
awesome back in the 80s.
You know,
and
what
90s.
LA was in the 90s sometimes. Boston was the hottest thing. Think about it. We had Boston, we had the Cars, we had Jake Giles. We had the Cars. We had so many bands at that time. So record companies were coming into Boston. So I want to talk about that. From 1993 to 2000, he was a staff member of the Fine Arts Department of Zavarius Brothers High School. I want to talk to you about that, and I want to find out what you were teaching then. From 1991 to 2011, Nick was... So let me look at it. So that coincided, was the regional director. So you did both at the same time. Okay, cool. You know, hard-working musician.
Hustling, man.
Yeah. He managed 13 locations of Daddy's Junkie Music Store, and Daddy's was just great, you know. What's the name of the guy out in California? He just got sick, and he just got a heart attack, but he's a famous used... like $100,000 guitars, $200,000. I forget that guy. But Daddy's could have been that sort of place where the 1957 Les Pauls could have, and you could find amazing things there. He managed 13 locations. I'm moving on. In 1995.
Actually, well, let me just say,
sure.
I didn't manage the 13 locations of the retail stores. I only managed I was the director for all of their education programs.
Which is great.
Yeah. I had nothing to do with the retail. It was all about education, and I was in charge of all the teachers, the hiring, etc.
In 1995, Nick received a U.S. patent for his crib note. I don't know anything about that, so we want to talk about that.
I wish I brought it with
teaching
me.
method. And what happens, Nick, in the show is we run out of time. So, you know, if I got on a rat hole, just get me out of the rat hole.
You want to tell you what the crib note was?
Yeah. Well, actually, let me finish this teaching method. From 1996 to 2010, he was program director for a National Music Workshop. I don't know what that is. Nick actually wrote a popular book by the name of Beginning Guitar for Adults. Is that still out there?
It's still out there. You can get it on Amazon.
And do you teach from that?
I do use it, depending on the student.
And I want to talk about your methodology. It's available in CD or DVD and double. In 2008, Nick founded Band Gig School of Music Performance after Daddy's went out of business.
It was just before Daddy's went out of business.
Oh, before when?
Yeah, I started it as a joint band program. And it wasn't doing private lessons because I was doing private lessons through Daddy's, so I didn't want to compete with them. I did it because there was no opportunity. Like my students, I wanted to be able to put them in bands and coach them in what it was like to be in a band. Because I had heard of some other programs around them were doing something similar to that. So I started to make that happen. I found a place, I rented it.
Yeah.
I started that program purely because Daddy's couldn't accommodate it. I couldn't do it in their facility.
Yeah.
And so I went elsewhere and I started that business, and Daddy's really liked what I was doing, and I incorporated that into my program at Daddy's.
Cool.
So I was giving the people that joined that program, Daddy's discount cards. So they liked the idea I was marketing and including them in it. So they were just, I had such a good relationship with that company.
Cool.
Yeah, it was all good.
And Nick is doing this crazy thing before a certain big anniversary, our birthday coming up. He's putting out a full album, Nick?
Yeah, I'm going to try to. I was going to just do an EP, but I think I'm going to do, what does it mean to do a full album? Is it 8 or more songs?
I think
Is it 7 or more?
It's interesting because the albums have gone away and people are going to singles. But if you really look these days, some of the newer albums I'm seeing are 12 songs. But I think an EP is 4 songs. I think an album's 8+ songs.
Okay, so I'm going to try to get 8 songs done by my 60th birthday this year, which happens in November.
Cool.
That's my big goal. I had a real itch to do some original music. That was a major league part of my life, writing and recording and playing with my band and gigging back in the 90s. And then, of course, life gets in the way, and you gotta earn a living, and I have a real passion for teaching, so that's what I ended up doing, and I'm so grateful. It was the best perfect spot for me in the world. I love it. It loves me, and that's that. But I've been writing songs and not recording them and not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
I finally decided I just got to do this. So I found a studio and some other players to work with, and that's what I'm doing.
And I agree with you 100%, Nick. And I've got a similar sort of batch of about 20 or 30 things I'd like to get done before it's over.
God forbid.
And I'm rounding third base in my musical career. I'm aware of that. So let's start at the beginning. I always start at the very beginning. I kind of know, I like to know people's ages because I like to know what was the music when they were 10.
Right.
And when you were 10.
Oh, I remember.
I'd say 72, 73, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
What was the big album? That was Led Zeppelin time.
Right, but I wasn't listening to that at 10
Okay,
years
so
old.
that's where, what was the first spark? That's what I want to know.
I figured out that I had rhythm because I was in the car, and I didn't really know I was doing it, but I was doing it.
Little kid, 6 years old.
And then around 10, I started to figure out that I could sing. So
Fourth
I could
grade.
sing.
That's
I
fourth
could
grade,
sing,
right?
and I could sing and match pitch. So at that time, the stuff that I was hearing that was popular to me, remember daytime television, TV shows, etc., etc. I was digging the Osmond Brothers and the Jackson 5 and that kind of thing. Whatever was pop music. And I could sing along to I could sing along to that and the Osmond Brothers, that sort of stuff. And then, and whatever again was popular. So there was tons of other popular music. My mom was not listening to Led Zeppelin.
Right.
I had nobody influencing me to listen to Led Zeppelin or whatever else was happening at that time until I hit like 14. And then other guys that I knew turned me on to Aerosmith.
So you weren't
and
playing
Led
guitar
Zeppelin.
at 14?
I started at 14, 15 years old.
Now,
Okay. I played my sister, my older sister Tina. Now my brother and sister are way older than me, 9 and 13 years older. So they really weren't around when I was 11. They were kind of off. And my sister at one point, when I was like 9 years old, talked my folks into getting an organ. She wanted to take organ lessons. That was a popular item back then. And they got the organ, and she took the lessons, and she lasted about, I'm going to guess at this number because I don't really know how long she did it. I'm going to say 9 months. So my sister stopped, and then they were stuck with this organ. Now, if you can picture an organ, it's like furniture.
Right, one of those big old-fashioned ones.
Oh my God!
You turn it on.
So my parents were like, Nicky, you're taking organ lessons. So there I go. I'm taking organ lessons, and I was pretty good at it. And again, I could discern pitch, so I could find melodies and things like that. My dad was a musician, also guitarist.
Yeah.
He sang and played guitar.
Really?
Yes, and he played. He gigged most weekends. He had a full-time day gig during the week, working for Raytheon. And he would play on the weekends. He would play like lounges in Cambridge with like an accordion player.
So he was a jazz guy?
Or with a sax guy, yeah. He would play like that, or he would do things like, more than you'd ever lived before.
Right.
No one else could love you. He
real-
did that kind of
yeah,
stuff. He
yeah.
was a bit of a crooner.
Right,
so
right.
he was digging on that sort of stuff. And I know my older brother was a country western fan, so I was hearing all this music all the time. But I wasn't really following music as like a place to go. It was just something I did without even thinking about it. Like I just sang all the time. I was always singing. And then my father passed away when I was 11. So by the time I hit 14, there's these guitars hanging around the house.
Right.
Because they were there.
Yeah.
And this guy that I went to school with, like again, I'm like 14, 15 years old.
So you're
he
in
played
Severian
guitar.
High School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played guitar. And one day I'm over his house and he was playing guitar, plugged into his amp and played. And I'm watching him and I'm like, I can do that. I went home. I learned how to play a power chord, and it was over.
So this is late 70s we're talking about. 76, 77?
76, 77, exactly.
Right.
And there you go. I'm getting turned on to Zeppelin and Aerosmith, and then whatever else came, Bad Company, you name it.
You were a rock and roll guy.
And then I loved Southern rock. I think I always had an affinity for like country-ish type music. I loved Skinner. There you go, man. So I fell in love with that. That's what I was doing. And then I just played music a lot. I wasn't really playing in bands. I just played by myself. I might play for a friend or whatever that came over the house. It was more like I was a hobbyist. I really wasn't chasing that all through high school.
All through high school, see, because most of us
played.
are like, I was in my first band at 14 and played ever since in bands and never stopped.
Yeah, never wasn't really chasing it. Wasn't thinking that was going to be what I was
Even
going
with
to
your
do.
voice, because as you heard, you have a great voice.
Thank you.
And
Thank
in
you.
our world, the music world, if there are 100 musicians in a room, there are 98 guitar players, one bass player, but there are no singers. especially front guys. And we do have a kind of a cool picture, and we got to coordinate the pictures for this show. But there's a picture of you doing an Eddie Money look. You had an Eddie Money look.
Probably. I had it all going on. It was like you could see the progression. My hair just kept getting longer.
Right.
And by the time I hit the end of it, that was hairband.
Senior year in high school, which was what, 79?
79, 80.
So you weren't in a band then?
No, I was not. I was just, again,
with your voice.
Just I was
and were you playing pretty well?
Yeah, I was playing.
Were you taking some lessons?
I could play Skinner. I did take some guitar lessons from this guy over in Walpole. His name was Lou Dom.
Oh, Lou Dom is famous.
Yeah.
I don't know why I know that name.
Yeah, he was like this old. He didn't do current rock music.
Right.
So I would show up at my lesson and be like,
was it Mel Bay?
Yeah, it was all that stuff. But I would walk in and be like, and I'd be like, see what I figured out, and he would be like, we're gonna do this. Yeah, open the book, start reading page 17, and that's what he did with me, and he did help me when I went to college my first year out of high school. I went to Northeastern University.
Right.
Thinking that I'm just gonna be an accountant or something. I really didn't think I was gonna do music. As much as it was a part of my fabric. So I go to school and I'm commuting back and forth to Northeastern. And I had a job and I'd come home and I just would play my guitar for an hour or so, then I'd go to my job at a restaurant or whatever I was doing. I worked a bunch of different jobs, mostly restaurants. I love to cook. That's my other hobby.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, that's my other hobby in life. So I just, one day I was at school at Northeastern and I just wasn't that happy, and I wasn't making a lot of friends. I think because I didn't live in the dorm and I wasn't really, connecting with anybody. I one day took a walk up the street and walked around Berklee College of Music campus, which is just a sidewalk and a building, but I walked
And it's about
inside.
a half a mile away.
Yeah. And I walked around and I was like, you know what? I think I really want to try to do music. And I had this idea in my head, and I told my mom and my older brother, and they were like, yeah, but what are you going to fall back on? Like, what do you do? I said, I don't know. But if I don't do this, I don't want to wake up at 40 years old and be unhappy that I made the wrong choice. So I rather chase this passion. And you know what? I'll figure the business out. Money exchanges hands. I'll make it work.
Yeah.
And I just went on my path. I ended up I had to take some courses in order to get into Berklee because I really didn't have any theory background or any of that knowledge.
Right.
I could play
and
some
you're
stuff.
older at this point. You're like a 19, 20-year-old, right?
So I'm showing up at Berklee for the interview, and they're asking me questions, and I don't really know the answers. And they said, well, listen, we're willing to work with you. Of course they are. If you're going to have to take some courses in the summertime, take the 7-week course. And if you do well, if your grades are good, we'll let you in for the fall semester.
And who were you talking to then? Was that the guitar department?
That was the guitar department and admissions. I mean, they just basically...
Was it Larry Bayonne?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was like there was a couple of different people, and I'll be honest, I don't remember their names.
Yeah.
I got in, and I convinced my mom and my brother that, I took out college loans naturally. I needed to live in the dorm. I had to immerse myself in this, or it wasn't going to work. And that's exactly because I knew if I went home.
I lived at home because we didn't have money, and I lived in the city.
Yeah, but imagine traveling back and forth from Norwood to Berklee every day, and I still had to have a job. In fact, I lived in the dorm, and on every Friday at night when I got done with work, with my school day, I got on the bus and went back to Norwood because I had a job in a restaurant. And I did that, and I came back on Sunday night. My mom would drive me in, or I would take the bus back in. And I would come back in, and I would be there all week long. And I missed out a lot of stuff on the weekends, but I was still immersed there all week.
Great.
It was awesome, and I got to play like I played all the time, and I studied hard. I did pretty good. I did the music production and engineering major because I thought, if it doesn't work out for me as just a guitarist or a performer, then I can maybe be a studio engineer. But I had so little. I don't know. I don't have a burn for it. I'm not a techie guy at all. So for me, it was about writing songs. And
that must have been hard, though, because that's a total.
I got through it.
We all have different parts, and as a teacher, and you're taught with education sort of theory that people have certain types of brains. So I was always in English, history, music, kind of person. That must have been a hard degree to get then.
It was, but I didn't really love it. Other guys that I went to school with are still engineers to this day, and they do okay and whatever. But I just was not that guy. I liked to record, but I liked to record me. I wanted to just play. I didn't want to be the engineer guy.
Right. And it's so complex.
At one point, I got I remember this really clearly. I did it for such a short period of time. I don't have many memories. I got an internship at Synchro Sound in Boston, which was like a big studio.
Right. Yeah.
I got it. So there I am. And I can't think of the guy's name that was the head engineer.
Wasn't Jim Anderson, was it?
No. Another name. I can't think of it. Anyway, I'm in there and I'm being this guy. So I'm basically the guy that goes and gets them a coffee or cleans up.
And that's how they all start, right?
And I just had a hard time with that. I was like, I got to be making money. I can't be here. But I remember the lead singer from Boston doing a recording session. Brad Delp. And I was just sitting in the back of the room watching that, and I didn't.
I heard he was a great guy.
He seemed like a nice enough man. I just remember that. I remember him being the only guy that really stood out to me, and that was one of my. And I was there for like 10 minutes, and then it was over. I also had a job parking cars at Danker and Donahue at one point, which was on Newbury Street as well, and I actually parked the guitarist Elliot Easton's guitar once.
Elliot, he went to school.
I parked his car
with me
once.
in Berkeley.
Yeah, I parked his car once. But yeah, I didn't last in that part of it. So I just went back to my hometown after college, got a job and played in bands. Mm-hmm. Got a job, bartending or something, and that was what I was doing, bartending. And I played in bands, and that's what I did.
Were you playing in bands at Berkeley?
Yes. And we were playing during the early 80s. I was playing all the local clubs.
Who was the,
that band was called Any Vehicle was that band.
Uh-huh.
And I played,
Any Vehicle.
all of those bands. We played all those clubs. We played the Rat.
So I was playing alongside with you, right?
I know. Again,
we were opening up for Extreme.
I swear to God, we were in the same club at one point, playing the same stage the same night.
Making all that kind of money, which was like $100 divided by 6 guys.
Oh, not even. Or you got paid in beer.
It was always money out. It was either you bought something new or bought some clothes or you got your hair cut. At the end of the day, original music was money out, never money in.
So there was Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Yeah.
There was Bun Ratties.
I played that place.
There was Jumbo's in Cambridge.
Right, the Channel.
The Channel, naturally.
Jax.
Jax. Yeah. Oh my God, there was a ton. But
the Bears.
But they don't really exist anymore. And there's no place for an original band. Remember,
there's very little that I know.
You'd see 3 bands a night, all doing original music.
Right.
And the big thing was they would give you these passes to give to your friends to try to get them to come into. You want to get your friends to come and see you, and then they would know who the ticket came in for.
Yeah.
Remember?
Right.
Like your band's name was on it. It would say, and I think I sent you some images. Like it would say on them, $1.75 drinks, or free admission before 9, or $1 off admission, or something like that. I don't even think
is the Middle East. They're still around, but I'm really thinking about an original clubs in Boston.
There's really nothing
anything on Lansdowne Street. I think it's commercial bands.
I'm kind of not in the loop anymore.
Neither am I. So what was the name of that band again?
That was called Any Vehicle.
And that got you through Berkeley?
That was my band while I was.
Were you doing any kind of commercial gigs along the way, like weddings and?
No, I never did the wedding band thing. I did do the top 40 thing where but we didn't do weddings, but we did clubs. Like there was places, and I'll use this one as an example. There used to be in Dedham, there was a Holiday Inn, and they had a lounge.
I know that one.
So you could get a gig at that place for a couple $100 and play 3 sets of all cover music. And I was in a band that was called Shakedown, and we did that gig. And we just did all top 40, like whatever rock top 40 and some dance top 40, we were doing that.
Yeah.
And we would take
that was during Berkeley time.
That was after.
Okay.
So I did Any Vehicle was basically through Berkeley. In 1985, I started Shakedown and started doing those kind of gigs.
You were the front guy on everything.
Yeah.
You've always been the front guy.
Yeah.
And the guitar player. So that nails 2 positions. You didn't have to have a second guitar player.
I'm typically, in some bands, no, but in some bands, the original bands, I always had another guitarist. Because I couldn't really, I can't really play lead guitar and sing.
I know, it's very tough to do that.
So I would always have another guy, but I would have to, It's like today is really nice playing with you because I don't get to play with other guitarists a lot.
Neither do I.
Because I'm always teaching.
Right.
So it's really nice to play with somebody and have them just respond to your guitar playing. Right. And you don't have to tell them.
And as guitar players, you realize
I'm a teacher. I do
doing
this all the
something
time.
like I'm doing it. I'm trying to do something that complements what he's doing rather than
in the same key and the same chords.
So, tell us about the big band. Was it King V?
King V was the band that was the most successful.
What years?
That was between 88 and 92.
And playing big clubs?
Yeah, playing all the big clubs, Channel.
Right.
Those kind of clubs. Not always headlining. We opened for the Tubes once.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we opened for a handful of big local bands.
Extreme, those
I didn't
guys.
open for Extreme. Trying to think of other bands that we opened for there. And anyway, that was the extent of it. We played locally. We played, the Atlantic Lounge in Revere. We would go all the way down to Connecticut, play down there. Rhode Island, basically
Hard
New
Rock?
England clubs. Yeah, the Hard Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
what was the look of that band? Was that the Flock of Seagulls
that was
look?
no. This band was the one that looked like Bon Jovi.
Okay, Bon Jovi.
Yeah, that's when
right,
the hair was much longer, and the music was. If I had to describe the music that band was doing, it really is really closer to what I do now. It had like this John Mellencamp meets Bon Jovi sort of
mashup.
Yeah, and it was all original. It was all original music, so it was Americana kind of stuff lyrically.
So I have a non sequitur here because I want to get 2 videos of Nick's in right now. I like to do the chronological sort of thing, but we have 2 cool videos and I want to really get in right now. So the first one is Shine a Light in Your Love.
Shine Your Love Light.
Shine Your Love. So tell us about this song, and is this going to be on the new album?
Yes, it is definitely going to be on the new album. The song is just
play a couple of chords.
It's got a bit of a country feel. Ooh, yeah.
Okay, so that's cool. So
what's that in the road?
So are you country influenced?
I think so, and I'll tell you why I say I think so. I recently had a conversation with my older brother within the last year, and I said to him, I remember Dad being a really big country guy. He goes, no, Dad didn't like country music at all.
Uh-huh.
I said, well, where the hell did all those albums come from?
Right.
Because my dad passed away when I was so young. My brother was already out of the house and married by the time my dad passed away. Yeah, he got married like 24.
Right.
And my brother was out of the house from a young age for me because he graduated high school in '67. So he was not in Vietnam, but he was in the service.
Right.
He was stationed in Germany. I think.
Sure.
All these albums were there, and I remember the albums being played. I remember him. I remember this music. And I remember Johnny Cash, and I remember all these other Roger Miller, and all these other country guys, and I liked that music. But I didn't really realize I didn't realize I was even listening to it until a million years later. I'm in the Nashville Hall of Fame, the Country Music Hall of Fame, and I'm walking around, and I'm like, I remember that album. Huh. Oh my God, and I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh God, I remember these songs. I didn't recognize, I saw the artist and thought, I remember that name. It was just all these off-the-wall country guys that were in the Hall of Fame. And I realized, upon speaking to my brother after, it was because of him. His influence, he influenced me to like country music as much as I did. And I didn't realize I liked it. It just was part of my fabric. I didn't chase it. I didn't know it. I just would hear songs.
Yeah.
I would hear songs, by Hank Williams, and be like, I know this song, or I'd just start singing it.
So tell us about this song here.
So this song I wrote. My wife is my muse.
I know. Yeah.
So it's "Shine Your Love Light on Me," and it's about. The lyric, if you listen to it, it's a guy who's thinking he's seeing a potential love interest. And should I be afraid of this, or should I let it happen?
Yeah. So
here we go. That's kind of the whole thing. The initial lyric kind of says exactly that. So I hope you like it. yeah. What's that in the road ahead? Is that something I should fear or dread? Should I fear when love comes to town, or should I let it happen? Should I let it happen? Is that you blurry in the sun's rays? Could be the devil, might be fun either way. Ain't never had a religious experience, I'd like to try one sometime. Won't you shine your love light on me? Ooh, yeah. Won't you shine your love light on me? If you let me love you, it would be so grand. I could love you and be your man. You need sunglasses from the glare, 'cause I shine my love on you. Shine my love on you. Won't you shine your love light on? Won't you shine your love light on? Won't you shine your love light down on me? Ooh, shine it on me. A self-reliant man. I give you sugar as redundant as it seems, 'cause sweet's your middle name. Sweet's your middle name. Won't you shine your love light on? 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 Won't you shine your love light down on me? Come on, shine it on me. Won't you shine your love light on? 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 Won't you shine your love light down on me? Ooh, yeah. Hey, a better way to go blind.
Okay, we're back here. So I got you up to King V, and how close did you get to a record contract?
We had a local, entertainment lawyer representing us.
Really? Okay.
And we had some interest from Geffen Records at one
Really?
point,
Yeah.
and it just
Did you
just
record?
we had recordings. I got a ton of them.
Did you ever do an album or? anything?
Yeah, we got tons of them.
Really?
Oh yeah, I got a lot of music. It's all on. I'm trying to not advertise. If you go on to Nick Vecchio on my YouTube channel, there's a ton of.
I saw that.
Just
Where
images.
You have the picture of the band and you have the tunes.
Yeah.
Playing, and that's pretty cool.
That's all. Yeah, there's some really good recordings. We got some local airplay on local
So you
radio
recorded
stations.
it like serious.
Oh yeah.
Recording stage.
Phil Green.
Phil did my first album. Yeah.
Those
Phil
kind
did
of guys.
Journey.
Yeah,
the original Journey songs.
Early,
Yeah.
amazing stuff. So
Yeah.
we used guys like that to record us, and
Yeah.
the recordings were great. And I'm super proud of them still.
So you came,
So we got we got a little bit of a look at what it might be like, and then it was.
Did you do the Rumble at all?
No, never played the Rumble. And then the guys in your band, as usual, people's lives change. This guy just kind of flakes out, and then the next thing you know,
got
man,
my first field street.
Hey, exactly.
And 5 and 9. I forget that, but it's like that's what that story.
I got my first
that's where
field
it is.
16. Oh, at the 5 and 9. That's it right there.
Yeah, I knew it was a 1 to a 5.
There we go.
So. Because that's what that is about. So again, these things, you come close, and again, what do you make? I knew some bands who got to that level and then it ended up with no money and totally broke. And
it's a tough way to go, man. I mean, you can't. I don't even understand. Nowadays, it's not about record sales. Nowadays, it's about performing. So you notice bands are out there performing because they're not making a lot of money.
Even in their late 70s. I saw the Who last week.
They're not selling records. They may get some money off of how many views or hits they get on YouTube. I don't know what that amounts to. Some of them maybe it amounts to $50.
Whatever, 6 per play.
Right. So you imagine these guys that are going on tour, that are trying to support their most recent album, and they're new, but they're doing some tours and they're playing rooms like. Bright Music Hall.
Bright Music Hall. I went and saw Mike Campbell there a couple of months ago.
So, you play a room like that and it packs in, you can, if you're a band that can pack in 200 people or 300 people at, I don't know what the tickets are, $30 a head, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the band makes in that scenario.
Not a lot.
So you think about, especially if they're on tour because they got to stay at a hotel and they have expenses of getting there to the gig. If they're on tour and they're in another part of the country, I mean, how much money are they making?
I've thought about this for years, Nick. I go to TCAN all the time, which is the Center for Arts in Natick, and you'll see Robin Ford, about as big a time a guitar player as there is.
Yeah, sure.
It won't be sold out. It'll be all guitar players. And what I think about is the bass player and the drummer behind them. It's like, what are they making? How are their lives?
And they're younger guys.
So,
right?
I'm like, is Bill's life and Nick's life better than those guys? And I'm kind of thinking it is.
I'm okay with the way things are going. I got to tell you, at the very least, I am as grateful as you can be that music is a part of my everyday.
Yeah.
I get up every day and I'm going
to. I
am going to play my guitar.
Lucky.
I am sitting in my office at least once a day, and I always kind of smile to myself and think, here I am, and I'm teaching somebody a song, and the song's like, and I find myself sitting in my chair in my office, and I'm grooving, and I think, wow, tough day at the office. I think, wow, thank God this is what I'm doing. And it's with the students, and then we have a little bit of, we're having fun. And my one and only, besides the fact that I can play and sing, I'm not the greatest guitarist on the planet.
I heard nobody a lot of great things that you do, man.
But you know what? You're a great guitarist too. Like there's no greatest player. There's only it's an art form. So you like what you like.
It's not the Olympics. It's not the 4-minute mile.
Right. Exactly.
And I've always said about those shows, American Idol and that stuff. And Tom Petty said it best. He says like game show masquerading as art. So in other words, would Joni Mitchell or Bonnie Raitt ever win? No.
No.
Their voices, I love their voices.
Of course,
they'd be up against a Celine Dion singer singing some huge high note. And to me, let's not go down that rat hole. See, I'm going down the rat hole.
It's okay. But it's an art form. There's no way that you can say, okay, do you like that color blue? You either do or you don't, and it might not be for you, but I love it. It's purely the same thing. It's color, it's taste. And so, the only thing that I can say that I personally think I do really well is I instill joy in my students and make them like music and make them enjoy being in the lesson. My job is to do that.
Which is rare for a music teacher.
Right.
So I want to get
you have to love
I want to
teaching.
fast forward and get into Nick today, but before we do, I want to do one more video here, and it's Helpless. Tell us about Helpless. It's a live version of Helpless. It looks really cool. Somebody definitely did some editing and.
Yeah, it's a neat video. We did it. We recorded the actual video at Limey's Pub in Norwood Center. Mm-hmm. So we did it, we tracked.
Who was the woman singer?
The woman singer is my sister-in-law, Nancy McCallum.
Yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah, and the gal playing violin is my friend Betsy Pabon.
Yeah.
And the bass player in the video is Justin Claya, who is an amazing musician. And he also teaches at Band Gig School of Music where I teach. And Justin was my student as a high school kid.
Uh-huh.
The drummer is a guy named Pat Santarelli. These two guys are on the recordings with me. Pat Santarelli went to Berkeley at the same time as me, and we met each other. We met each other at a thing. I was doing some business with a school called the Real School.
I know the Real School.
For a brief period of time, I was involved with those guys, and he worked there. Now he teaches for me at Band Gig. Mm-hmm. But the first second we saw each other, we were like, I know you. And we started to talk, and we realized that we were both at Berkeley at the same time. And then, like 3 days later, he sends me a text message, a picture of an old phone book that he had. And there's my name and my phone number from when I was going to college. I lived in Roslindale for a little while.
Yeah.
I had an apartment, and so we were in contact.
Wow.
Back then, and that's why we recognized.
And that's
each other.
the band that's going to be in the album.
That's the guys that are playing on my
core.
album. Yeah.
Okay, so without further ado, Helpless.
I see you walking, takes my breath away. I gotta have you, ain't no other way. Don't know what bait to use to draw you near. Let you slip off my lines, my biggest fear. Helpless when you're near me, helpless when you're away. Helpless on the telephone, don't know what to say. Helpless as that feeling when my strings are out of tune. Helpless 'cause I feel like I'm a fool. I feel lightheaded like bubbles in my beer. All those other girls fade and disappear. Ooh, you rock me right to my very core. If I can't have you, what is my life for? Helpless when you're near me, helpless when you're away. Helpless on the telephone, don't know what to say. Helpless as that feeling when my strings are out of tune. Helpless 'cause I feel like I'm a fool. Yeah. I look deep into your eyes, into your soul. I know you'll hurt me one day, this I know. I think you're worth all that risk for potential pain. Ooh, you're so pretty, perfect as a dream. I'm helpless when you're near me, helpless when you're away. Helpless on the telephone, don't know what to say. Helpless as that feeling when my strings are out of tune. Helpless 'cause I feel helpless when you're near me, helpless when you're away. Helpless on the telephone, don't know what to say. Helpless as that feeling when my strings are out of tune. Helpless 'cause I feel like I'm a fool. Helpless 'cause I feel like I'm a fool.
Make sure that works.
So fast forward here. Take me through briefly through what happened with Daddy, which we talked a little bit about, and then how Band Gig and what you're currently doing in your world, which is a huge music school. Before, when we were off camera, you were telling me how big it is. I mean, that's a major accomplishment.
Yeah, we're making it happen, man, which is great, and we're really, we're a big part of that community.
I bet.
Like,
you
Band
do
Gig School of
things
Music
all the time.
Yeah, Band Gig School of Music is located. The main location is in Dedham, on Eastern Avenue, and we have a smaller location in Norwood on 45 Central Street. But the main one is still in Dedham, and we have drums and drum instructors. We have bass, guitar, ukulele, mandolin, voice, piano. We have joined a band program, so if you're a 12-year-old kid and you want to play in a band, I put you in a band with other 12-year-old kids, and we have a teacher who's the coach, and then you learn over a 14 or 17-week period. We have different length semesters. You learn a set. You'll learn how to play anywhere from 4 to 6 tunes in that period of time, and then we put on a concert where we raise funds for a charity called Rock Stars. We do that. Then there's the regular general population of everybody who takes lessons. We still do concerts for them, and we raise funds for Music Drives Us, which is Ernie Bach's organization. So we do two.
So you're connected with Ernie somehow.
We do 4. Yeah, we grew up in Norwood too.
Yeah.
We do 4 fundraisers a year: 2 for Rock Stars, 2 for Music Drives Us. And the actual band gig started in 2008, which was just as a joint a band program. I think I might have mentioned this before. And that was only because I had nowhere to do it inside the whole Daddy's organization. I had nowhere to put it, nowhere to do the rehearsals or any of that. And so we started that, and I rented some space in Dedham, and then eventually we moved to Norwood because it was in connection with my wife's business that's over there too. We're in the same building. So that was happening, and it was going really well. And then in 2011, Daddy's moved from their location on Route 1 down by Legacy Place and moved up the street right near Eastern Avenue. They moved into a new location. They made this beautiful store with beautiful lesson rooms.
I remember that.
And a performance area for the music program. And it was my dream. And then 9 months later, they went out of business. And I was like, humana, what do I do now? And I managed the building right next door to where they were came available, and my teachers followed, and I said, listen, I can save this if you guys want to come with me. I'm going over there. And at that point, the business of Band Gig, joint a band program, was already in place. All of the formalities of bank accounts and the business being, having a website and having, I formed an S Corp and that kind of stuff. I was just able to fold it right into that almost seamlessly. And then that's been it ever since, and we're still going strong, and we're always involved in community things. We got a lot going on this next few months. In fact, this coming June 12th, we have our performance for the Join a Band program at Limey's Pub in Norwood Center, raising funds for Rock Stars.
And when is that, like a Saturday night?
That's a Sunday afternoon. And then that Tuesday is Flag Day, and we put a rock band on a float, and we are in the Flag Day parade in Dedham. And then, so that's the 14th. Then on the 25th, we have Dedham's having Porch Fest. We're part of that, but we're going to do our performance for our general population of the students in the parking lot at Band Gig in Dedham. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then June 20th, I apologize, we're playing at Endicott Estate in Dedham with a couple of students, opening up for one of the, they have like a summer sessions thing where they have like bands every Wednesday night. They have a band, music outdoors, and we're going to do that. And then on August 18th, we're playing for a Norwood Extended Day program after school for the kids, a sing-along. And then on the 19th, this is really cool, we're going to play in Norwood Theater.
I love that place. I saw John Oates there.
I did too. Well, no, we were there. We were both there that
night. In the sound dive. Yeah. Like 5 times.
Crazy night, man. But that guy, that guitarist that played with him was
awesome. Gunther Gordon Trapp, something like that.
Yeah. He was really good.
He's just good. He's number one Nashville studio guy.
Killer.
Number one guy.
And then we're opening for Band Gig School of Music gets a half-hour set opening for a Motley Crue tribute act.
Really?
Yeah, they called me out of nowhere and asked us to do it.
And
so I'm really excited.
Who's going to be part of that?
I'm going to have my staff. My staff's going to be
staff's doing it. Okay.
Me and
No
my guys.
kids?
No. Then we're going to have the kids.
Right.
We're going to, make sure we have the tune set, and we're going to bring on like guitarist kids. You guys playing guitar on this one, but we're there to back it up. And then we're going to bring in a couple of, vocalists. We're backing them up, just to make sure that it goes smooth.
What an experience for the kids.
Yeah, an experience for us. It's going to be a cool stage to play, right?
Yeah, I love that place.
Yeah,
if the sound doesn't, I did complain to them that night, and they said it's never happened to them before.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. I don't know whether he brought his own people and they just didn't.
No, it was all them. So let's talk about this. I've noticed a couple of bumps in my life. Every single time I hit a bump, something good came out of it.
Yeah.
Every single time. I'm not trying to be trite or, stupid about it, but look at what happened to you. A disaster. Because you were a grown-up guy then, right? You probably had a mortgage. You probably had 50, bills.
I was, you know what, and this is where I was at. It was 2011. I was about to turn 50.
Right.
I was, in that year, the next year, I was 49 years old. And all I thought to myself was,
what do I do now?
This is great. Before the daddies went out of business thing, when we moved from the one location to the other, and they built these beautiful lesson rooms in this performance area, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. There's no way that a company like Daddy's enters into a lease like that and does that kind of build out and spends that kind of money without having a long lease or a pretty 10 years anyway.
Right.
With extensions built in. I thought, I'm going to be here till I retire.
Right.
Fantastic. Yeah. And then boom, out of nowhere, the hammer dropped. And again, I just there's nothing quite like the will to survive and succeed. You don't have a choice. What was my choice really?
Right.
I was gonna fold up and go away and drop
or go teach somewhere else,
and drop a career of having all of those students. Like I've been in the Dedham area 30 years, or 20 at that point 21 years teaching guitar lessons. I have a gigantic a good reputation and lots of people that know me for being a music teacher in that area.
When did it dawn on you? It's like, bingo.
When did what dawn on me?
When did it dawn on you? It's like, well, maybe I'll just take all of this and make my own thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just immediately.
Like they said, I remember that. They locked the door.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It
was in the newspaper.
The way that it worked was, in fact, I got interviewed on the news that night. I said, "Oh, we're going to move over. We're music teachers here. We're going to just move down the street." I was like, I don't have a choice. I'm moving forward with this. They again, I got the news. I was told to go into, Nick, I'm giving you the heads up. We're going out of business today. They're locking the doors tonight at 8 o'clock. So I call all my instructors, the guys that were teaching with me, and I'm like, you got to get your personal stuff out of here because you don't want to get it mixed up in, like.
Because to interrupt, they did a lot of repair business. A lot of guys left their stuff there.
Yeah.
And couldn't get it for like months and years.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. So I got everything out of there that I possibly could. And then I couldn't fit everything in my van. So I had to go back the next day. And I go back the next day. And I walk in. And there's two guys. And these guys were, for some reason, they were all oddly tall. They were giant. And they're all standing there. And there's guys in suits. Suits. The guys that own the building that have the lease that Daddy's just went dark on them. And they were like, they were angry.
Right.
So as far as they knew, I was Daddy's. Because I come walking, I'm like, hey, I want to get my. They're like, you're not taking anything. I go, no, wait a minute. It's a desk. I just got to get it out of there, And I'm a music teacher here, and I run a little music school, and maybe we can rent from you until I find a new place to go. And all of a sudden, their whole demeanor changed.
Oh, and so you did that because that was a beautiful space.
Yeah. I did. I rented it for like 4 months while the other place was getting ready, while I was doing all the finances and everything else. So it was really and it was one of those funny moments when you realize how you're not corporate.
Right.
So
right.
there I am. I'm standing there in the middle of these guys. These guys are from the creditors that are coming to take their stuff.
Like banks.
They were. So they're there to get their stuff. These guys are arguing, saying you can't take anything.
Right.
These guys were leasing from us, and now they've gone dark.
Right. We own all this equipment, and we're gonna sell it.
Right. So they're like arguing, and then there's me walking in, and I'm like, "Hey, man," just being me. And I realized at that time how I articulate differently than these corporate guys.
Right.
So it was a really funny thing, and they're looking at me like, "What is this guy?" And then I ended up negotiating a deal with them.
Might be like a scene from Alice's Restaurant.
It was really
like
funny.
That.
By 4 p.m, I had a lease deal with them, and so this happened on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
That Thursday, I'm having this conversation with these guys. By Monday, all my teachers, everybody was back in the building, and we were teaching. So we did not miss a beat.
Okay, so we gotta
awesome.
wrap this up, man.
Sure.
How can people get a hold of you? Yeah.
They can reach me at the school, Band Gig School of Music in Dedham. We have a phone number, 781-686-1526. And
the school's not far from here. Dedham and Norwood's maybe what? 10 miles
just
away?
a few, not too far at all. You can go online, band-gig.com. You can reach me there. Facebook. Ask around, you'll find me.
Cool. So we get a final song here as we fade out. Which one are we gonna do?
We're gonna do Harvest Moon
Oh,
by
cool.
Neil Young,
You start,
which
man.
is a beautiful song. You ready, bud?
Yep.
All right.
Come a little bit closer, hear what I have to say. Just like children sleeping, we could dream this night away.
away, Bill.
See you later. See you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, sunshine when you're gone, and she's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away, anytime she goes away, anytime she goes away, anytime she goes away.
Outstanding.
Stay away in the sunshine.
Little bit.